I, Sophia, will tell you how I took charge of my life and managed to stop my husband, Xander, from ruining it completely. I will be using fake names for a very specific reason. I happen to be a pretty well-known lawyer in the state where I live, and I know I will end up being recognized. That is something I don't want due to several reasons, so fake names it is. I won't get into a lot of detail about my and Xander's love story. Yes, we fell in love, got married and all, but it ended in a divorce, so I guess the love wasn't all that real on one end. To be blunt, Xander cheated on me. I saw the signs. He was avoiding me, spending a lot of time outside, and going on frequent business trips. He did have a very big business, but I wasn't a part of it. I'm a successful lawyer in my own right, but Xander always considered me a failure because I didn't earn as much as him. Anyway, one fine day, when he was away for another of his fake business trips, I decided to do some digging and found a secret Facebook account on my husband's old laptop. My hunch was right. He was freaking cheating on me with some random woman. She was beautiful, and I knew that's what drew Xander to her. He had complained about my plain looks a lot. I don't even know why I continued this sham of a marriage, probably because I was madly in love with him. However, the cheating was the final nail in the coffin. I was both heartbroken and mad. I immediately called and confronted him. I said, "What is this, Xander? Are you freaking cheating on me? I have plenty of proof to show that you cheated on me. How could you do this?" What can I say, Sophia? You're just not that interesting anymore. You spend all your time running after useless cases and ignore me all the time. Besides, it's not like you are a supermodel who could keep me with just her looks. What are you even talking about, Xander? You know I have a stressful job. You knew what you had signed up for. Haven't even been neglecting you. You are the one who has stopped coming home and refused to talk to me. That is how I found out about your affair. When I decided to call Xander, I expected him to show some remorse, but I wasn't expecting the cold response he gave me. He was putting all the blame on me and saying that his cheating was justified. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. I wasn't going to be accused of anything that I didn't do. When I pointed out the obvious flaws in his accusations, he simply turned cold again and didn't try to pin the blame on me. He simply said, "Good that you found out, Sophia. I no longer have to hide my beautiful girlfriend anymore. She and I will have a perfect life together after I divorce your useless self. Finally, I'll marry someone who's worthy of me and my name." I felt like I was hit with a ton of bricks. My blood ran cold when Xander talked about the divorce. He was downright insulting me and telling me that I wasn't good enough for him. He accused me of being a bad wife when he was the one sneaking around having an affair. Hell, he wasn't even remorseful about it. He was boasting about his affair and claiming how much better a wife his mistress would be. I was reduced to tears when he demeaned me and boasted about his affair like that. This was the man I had loved for over a decade. Through my tears, I said, "How could you say that, Xander? All these years I've been beside you through thick and thin. I stuck to my vows and valued you more than anything in my life." Well, guess what, Sophia? It doesn't matter anymore. You're just not right for me. I'm now a proud business owner and a girl with average looks and a pretentious law degree. Won't do me any good. How could you demean me like that, Xander? I'm a capable woman. Even if I don't have good looks, I have been a good wife to you, and now you're thinking about divorce. I'm not thinking about divorce, Sophia. I have already decided to divorce you. I'm done. I don't want to be with you anymore. I will file soon and have already hired a great lawyer. You better move out before I come home. I don't want to see your ugly face anymore. A few hours after hanging up on me, Xander sent me the divorce papers through a friend. The friend actually looked at me like he was sorry about the situation. I numbly took the papers from him and shut the door. I cried miserably for a while, letting everything soak in. I spent the day crying my eyes out about my life. I wasted my good years loving a horrible man. But now, I wasn't going to do that anymore. I was a strong woman who would take control of her life and teach. I must mention something here. When Xander's friend delivered the papers to me, he told me that my husband had talked about drawing out the divorce. Initially, I had no idea why he would say that, but as my head cleared after a good cry, I remembered the fact that I had signed a prenup before our marriage. During the prenup, he had insisted on stating that I was entitled to half of his business if he cheated and there was a divorce. This was something that never occurred to me when I heard about the cheating. I had no intention of being with a cheater, and I also wasn't going to let go of what was rightfully mine. It made sense why Xander wanted to draw out the divorce. He wanted me to give up my fair share from the prenup and get nothing. It also explained why he boasted that his divorce lawyer was the best in the city and would crush me. He was threatening me to back off without asking for a share of the business. As the hours passed and the realization hit me with full force, I vowed to walk out of this marriage, but not without destroying Sander's life. I immediately called his lawyer and set up an appointment with him. I also moved out of the house in 2 days and shifted to my childhood home, which was in my name. I had been thinking of renting it, but never got around to it. It came in handy when I was in trouble. I also texted Sander and said, "I have already moved my stuff from your house. It's safe for you to come back. I took my ugly face and body out of your damn house. Good that you have come to your senses and are not making a fuss. I guess my lawyer's big name has put some fear into you." I don't fear your lawyer, Sander. My profession sees too much of them to fear them. Anyway, I should warn you. I will give you an easy divorce, but I will make you uphold the prenup. Don't think that I have forgotten it. Oh, we'll see about that, Sophia. My lawyer will drag out this case until you give up. I won't give you my business, that's for sure. For now, you will stay away from me. I don't want to talk to you. You can only speak to me through my lawyers now, and I expect you to empty my house. Sander's words had my blood boiling again. It's truly amazing what rage and hate can do when the other person is being a complete piece of. My mind was clear, and I literally wanted to laugh at Sander. He had no idea who he was up against. I doubted his lawyer had any idea either. Anyway, the truth would soon come out. When I finally met with Jake, who was his lawyer, we met for business at a cafe at my request. He took one look at me and immediately started to shiver before spotting me and realizing who he was dealing with. He was looking pretty confident about himself. I must admit, Jake is actually a pretty good lawyer, but not as good as me. Sander has never really considered me to be an influential lawyer, so he hadn't bothered to tell Jake who he was fighting against. So this poor man was seriously ambushed when I met up with him at the coffee shop. He looked really nervous and his hands were shaking. I decided not to intimidate him more than necessary. He wasn't the one to blame for my miseries anyway. So I said, "Hello Jake, nice seeing you here. You looked very surprised when I walked in. If you had any doubts, let me just clear them out for you. Yeah, I am the wife. I'm so sorry, ma'am. I wasn't expecting you to show up. The surnames don't match, so Of course they don't, Jake. I got married after I got my degree in law, so I used my maiden name for official purposes." "I see. Well, so I'm guessing you want to drag out this case." "That's what my client has told me." "Well, your client has been bullshitting you, Jake. He is the one who wants to drag out this case. Isn't that what he has told you?" Jake looked really uncomfortable with my question. Since I worked as a lawyer, I had a habit of keeping a straight face and asking the right questions. I didn't make my name for nothing, and Jake knew that very well. So when I asked him a direct question, he didn't know how to deflect. I again decided to spare the poor man and said, "You don't have to answer that, Jake. I've known Sander for over a decade. I married that idiot for God's sake. I know what goes through his thick head. Now, since I know you and don't think it's fair on you, I will tell you the truth about this divorce." "What do you mean, ma'am? Tell me. Jake, did my dear husband mention to you that he had cheated on me?" Jake's expression was everything. I needed to draw a conclusion. He didn't need to spell it out for me. He was once again surprised by my declaration. I won't lie to you guys, it did sting and hurt my ego to tell my colleague that I had been cheated on. It's not a nice thing to experience, but I knew better than to betray my emotions. No matter how humiliated I felt, I still had the upper hand. I knew that very well. Jake, on the other hand, didn't know. I needed to draw a conclusion. He didn't need to spell it out for me. He was once again surprised by my declaration. I won't lie to you guys, it did sting and hurt my ego to tell my colleague that I had been cheated on. It's not a nice thing to experience, but I knew better than to betray my emotions. No matter how humiliated I felt, I still had the upper hand. I knew that very well. Jake, on the other hand, didn't know. He said, no, I don't think my client has told me about that. But he did warn me that, in his words, you would make some baseless accusations because you want to ruin him. Oh, you poor thing, Jake. Your client has played you like a fiddle. Although it might make you happy to know that Sander thinks you are one of the best lawyers out there. Well, that's a big compliment. But I will never measure up to you, ma'am. I wish he had told me that his wife also practices law. He only told me that you work at a law firm. Oh, my husband never really took my accomplishments seriously. He had a habit of undermining my work and my influence. It was foolish of me to stay with him this long. However, it was smart of me to sign the prenup to save my butt. Jake was completely taken aback by the word prenup. He looked shocked, and the word seemed foreign to him. I didn't need to learn rocket science to know that he had been ambushed again. Xander had conveniently forgotten to mention the prenup to Jake. Did he hope that I had forgotten about it? Well, who knows? It didn't matter, since the word of the prenup was out there. Jake was frazzled and said, "There's a prenup in this marriage. Your husband hadn't mentioned that. Do you have any proof, ma'am?" "Oh, I do have plenty of proof, Jake. I wrote the papers along. I had a feeling that Xander would try to get out of dealing with the consequences of his actions." "Well, not on my watch. I would really like to see that." "Sure, Jake. Here are the papers. Also, I think you would need to see proof of his affair, if you have any." "Don't worry, Jake. I wrote along everything. Like I said, it isn't me who wants to drag out this divorce. The sooner it happens, the better it is for me." I handed over everything I had to Jake, from messages to pictures to documents. I had all the proof right in my handbag. I casually gave them to Jake, knowing that the case would always go in my favor. Jake studied each and every document thoroughly before sighing and looking rather defeated. He then looked at me and said, "I see that you have solid proof of everything, ma'am. I had no idea about all of these things." "I figured that out, Jake. Also, I know how difficult it is to work with unreliable clients, especially when the opposite party has an equally strong lawyer for their case." "You're right about that, ma'am. I think that's all I needed to talk about today. I believe I need to have a serious conversation with my client before. I'm sure someone will contact you soon, although I can't say that it will be me." I could tell what Jake was hinting at, but didn't comment on it. I thanked him for his time and proceeded to walk out of the cafe. I went straight to work and started to prepare my own documents for the divorce. All the lingering sadness was gone. Now there was this rage within me that was driving me to make sure Xander suffered for what he had done. And I knew he had no way out of this mess he had created. It took Xander one day to get back to me. He called me on my number, despite telling me not to contact him directly. It was funny but not surprising. I knew he would find himself in this situation. When I answered his call, he sounded very pissed off. "What the hell did you say to my lawyer?" "Sophia, look who's calling after telling me to stay away. Now, what happened with your lawyer, Xander? Stop playing around. Tell me what you told him that made him quit today." "Your lawyer quit today? How sad, Xander. I guess you should have been upfront about your situation and who they would be fighting against. You don't know what you're saying. You are a freaking nobody. I won't let you take away my family business." "Oh, I would like to see you try, Xander. I will hire a better lawyer after you. Just wait and watch. I will destroy you in court. You will come to me begging for mercy." "Well, sounds like a plan, Xander. Good luck with that. But a word of advice from a lawyer: remember to tell your new lawyer about your affair and the prenup." When I said that, Xander simply hung up on me. It made me chuckle. He was in deep trouble but still didn't know it. "Lawyer willing to represent me, Sophia. Everyone knows who you are, and no one wants to go against you," Xander muttered, looking defeated. I raised an eyebrow. "So, what are you proposing now?" He sighed heavily. "I want to settle this amicably, Sophia. I can't fight you alone, and I don't want this dragging on. Let's talk about the terms." I leaned back, contemplating his words. It was a satisfying moment to see him finally realizing the gravity of his situation. "Fine. Sit down. Let's talk terms." And so we began the negotiation that would eventually lead to the conclusion of our tumultuous. I would try every lawyer in town and see if anyone would represent him. I am a known name here, so people knew not to mess with me. Plus, anyone stupid enough to believe his lies would be dragged down to reality when I present them with my ammo, Xander said. He said that he would make me beg for mercy. I knew that it would be a matter of time before he would come begging at my door. I was right. One fine morning while I was getting ready for work, there was a knock at my door. I was a little confused about who showed up at such an odd time. Imagine my surprise when I opened the door and found my soon-to-be ex-husband looking for a lawyer and weary. I invited him in because I didn't want the scene outside my home. I was already dealing with enough. When he came inside, I said, "Make it quick, Xander. I don't have enough time to waste on you. I don't even know why you're here. We were supposed to strictly communicate through lawyers only. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to adjust. Marriage. Good divorce lawyer yet? Oh, that's sad for you, Xander. You better hurry up because I hear that your mistress has been dying to marry you." I'm not worried about her anymore. Listen, Sophia, we need to talk. You have been sabotaging my lawyer so that they wouldn't take my case. That is very unfair, Xander said. I immediately laughed. I couldn't believe that Xander would have the audacity to pin the entire blame on me. That again showed how little he valued my profession. He thought that just because he was willing to throw money, people would pull at his feet. Oh dear, that's an amazing joke, Xander. Let me clear that misconception for you. I haven't been sabotaging anything. It's your stupidity that's causing trouble. I don't understand. What did I even do? Should I remind you how you lied to your lawyers about the affair and the prenup? That is enough to make them look like a fool in court. Do you think lawyers would jump at representing unreliable clients like you? Let me know if you need any further adjustments. Besides, I will admit that my name will make a lot of people walk away. You may consider me to be useless, but I actually do have a good name in this profession. Yes, I know that now, Sophia. I've tried being open with lawyers too, but none of them are willing to help me. That's what happens when you try to go against an ironclad prenup. You really should have thought your affair through, Xander. Not that it matters now. The damage is done. No sane lawyer would fight for your cause. You'll be giving me half of your business. Xander's facial expression said it all. He didn't want to lose his business. I mean, that's why he tried to pick a good lawyer and drag out the divorce. He wanted to keep me hanging long enough until I would snap and just leave him alone without demanding half of his company. But after a few days, it became clear to him that no one would take his side. Hell, he was even finding it hard to find any lawyer who would go against me, so he did what he thought was his last resort. He started to cry and beg, Sophia, you know how much this business means to me. Please don't do this. You can take everything else, but please don't ask to split the business. Why not, Xander? You were the one who put in the clause of splitting the business in case you cheated. You think I will give up my rights that easily? I deserve it after the betrayal you threw in my face. It was all a mistake, Sophia. Believe me, I have actually put my relationship on hold because I know what a big mistake it was. Maybe, just maybe, we can give this marriage a try. I can say for sure that this hurdle will only make us stronger, Xander said. His words made me laugh out loud again. The audacity of this man was unmatched by anyone I knew. I really didn't know what to say. He was actually asking to get back together as if I would be stupid enough to do that. I could know that he had put a pause on his relationship with his mistress. The rumors were out that the mistress was not happy, and neither was Xander. But if he thinks this will make me go back to him, he is dead wrong. I already made that mistake of marrying a piece of and learned my lesson the hard way. Plus, I knew why he was suddenly desperate to get me back. You must be delusional for suggesting something like that, Xander, I said. I didn't come this far in life by being utterly stupid. I know that you want to get back with me because you don't want to split your business. Sophia, we were happy together. Let's just look past this one time and restart our marriage. I will cut off my mistress, I swear. There's no reason to do that, Xander. Believe me, that woman is going to start running once she finds out that you won't be very rich after the divorce. As for me, this is my golden chance to get out of this sham of a marriage. I must thank you for showing your true colors before we had kids. Now, you will reap what you have sown. With that, I was pretty much done. With my piece, I immediately stopped talking while Xander kept begging and pleading with me not to take his business. It was a rather pathetic scene, but it didn't move me at all. Instead, it made me think of the times I went to bed crying because this piece of I call my husband decided to bang someone behind my back. Seeing Xander in a vulnerable place only gave me satisfaction and completed my revenge. Now, I simply needed a clean break to start afresh. Well, I definitely got more than what I had bargained for. Karma hit Xander hard and fast. He tried for weeks to change my mind and tried to make me come back home. I turned a blind eye to everything simply because I wasn't interested in his drama. I was ready to move on since he had filed for divorce already. I hired someone from my firm to represent me. I'm not a divorce lawyer, so I couldn't do it myself. Besides, I wanted as minimum interaction with him as possible. After a month of trying to change my mind, he was forced to get a lawyer and ask for a clean break. He knew that if I took the case to court, he would only face humiliation and ultimately waste money on lawyers appointed by the court. So he receded and asked for a mutual split. The prenup made it super easy for me to get the divorce. Of course, I had plenty of proof to show everyone that Xander cheated. As per the prenup, he was supposed to give up half of his business to me. He wasn't happy, but there was no way out, so he signed over half of it to me. We did give him an offer to buy me out, but he had no money. Now, why would a big business owner like Xander have no money? Because he had spent it all on his mistress, who is now not taking his calls or texts. I guess she figured out that he wouldn't be rich anymore. But now, no one is willing to date her because they know what a gold digger she is. What goes around comes around, I guess. Well, the mistress was the least of Xander's troubles. With half of his business gone, his earnings were severely reduced. He had to sell his house because he didn't have much money to maintain it or even pay the mortgage properly. He's currently renting a condo, a serious downgrade from the big mansion he stayed at. He did try to get back with me again in the hopes of regaining full control of his business. Well, safe to say that is never happening. He now either has to continue the way it is or manage to save enough money to buy me out. As for me, I'm actually doing pretty well. I have appointed someone to take care of my share of Xander's business, and so far, things have been amazing. I ended up upgrading my lifestyle by buying a new mansion due to my combined income from law practice and business. Things are going well. I'm living my best life and I honestly couldn't be happier. All in all, the divorce played out well for me. Instead of getting played by my ex-husband and his mistress, I ended up ruining their lives and bettering mine.